No, ini bara.
Right, okay.
Welcome.
Basically, lot of la me along is cool, man, that I can really relax.
What the madam?
Yeah, that's
What the madam?
Yeah.
Let me just somebody.
That's fine.
Grand Villa.
Grand Villa.
That's fine.
Slowly. Yes. No.
Yeah, actually, a lot of people are basically me along can very relaxed. So it's basically like I can miss training.
Nina from Nisewa, Nidia, Nena Grand Villa is the best guest house in the Gambia.
Beji andikam Grand Villa Guest House. Na labungul bebe senyaring adu na bungul bebe nyarandiring coming ibela fila ila suwe taranyame. Ntel Grand Villa na kiliano la lafino wale mukangwati ntel kang. Na ye sabati Grand Villa yela kodo nafa kalamuta.
Oh man, this is like a paradise.
I know.
I so much love this place.
Yes, thank you.
Trust me, I love this place.
You can move somebody and you're watching what?
Yeah.
I know what Gambia Grand Villa.
I tell you. I love this place. Okay. I love this place, man. Oh yeah.
Ni lefta na kuo keso sotola. Futama Oljuntum Paradise Estate. Mbaya kumandiroke 7527218. Wale futana website auto www.grandvillaguesthouse.com. Grand Villa Guest House.
Dreaming of owning a property in a prime location with great proximity and fantastic neighborhood? EJ Investments Sanyang Seaview Estate is the best choice you have been waiting for. Our Sanyang Seaview Estate is approximately 15 minutes drive away from the busy hub of Brusubi roundabout and into the heart of nature, where you can have a peaceful and relaxed lifestyle with your family. You can buy a finished 4-bedroom story with 5-year flexible payment plan or a service plot with 2-year payment plan option. With over 300 homes, you will enjoy big tar roads with covered drainage, modern electrification with solar street lights, gated entrance with security post, and a breath-catching experience of our beautiful sea view and lake view. You can own a home today at our Sanyang Seaview Estate. Call us today on 446-4838 or 325-9220. Visit our website on ejinvestments.net. EJ Investments, first in property.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. Honorable Speaker, much has been said about this budget, and I don't think I would intend to waste much time on the submission that I want to make. Honorable Speaker, technically, the budget has been sliced down. If we compare the estimates 2020 to the approved budget 2019, almost by 3.85%. But if you look at it in other way around again, it has been technically increased in some aspects. We discovered a lot of new budget lines which were not part of the 2019 budgets. And all these increase were not made on the development aspect of the budgets, but the recurring. And Honorable Speaker, definitely, if you see we are taking all these loans to make sure that we develop or we transform this nation. And we are taking a loan with the intention of preventing us from taking loan again. But taking loan is on the increase and then not the opposite. Honorable Speaker, when you look at the budget line of agriculture, and already Gambia is a signatory to a declaration, which is Maputo, then it is 6.91%, which is less than the 10% which is supposed to be from our national budget to agriculture. And agriculture, Honorable Speaker, is one of the sectors that when we put money into its productive sector, definitely we'll be able to transform our economy. Honorable Member for Serekunda mentioned it here. Honorable Speaker, he said maybe it's around Kuloro, but definitely you go to URR and see how women are suffering. And women definitely, what they are contributing to our national budget, if they are empowered, honestly we'll be able to see a significant change. Go to URR, you see a woman who is definitely both dry season and rainy season is engaged in farming activities. From their farm to garden. From their farm, when they close by maybe around December, we are off groundnut season, then they will start to go into their garden. And all those produce, when they produce, some of them don't even have a market where to display their goods. And these goods are perishable goods. So they are not empowered, they are without cold store. Last year we mentioned it here to Minister of Agriculture. And first step is here, NEMA, they are establishing garden for women. They are producing, but definitely these women are not empowered. When they produce, at the end you go to the market, you don't even have a space to display your goods. Like if you go to Sandu, Kantoro, Tumana, it's definitely worrying. They will come to Basse, and they found out that there's no space for them. So at the end of the day, somebody will just come with all the effort that you have put into that, the money that you put there for fair, from your garden to the market center, will all go in vain. Definitely our agriculture sector needs to be looked at, not only by lip services. We have projects, and this year, we approved almost $26 million. And that's $26 million just to help the women to invest into ruminants and other stuff. But now if you look at budget even, the tax that they impose on those, you want to help somebody to get livestock, and you put more tax. So like economists say, tax kill tax. So you want to get money, or you borrow money, you will empower somebody, and you put more tax on that person again. So definitely I don't think we are making a headway. And also health is another problem. When you come to here, according to research, every 180% got access to health service or health centers within 30 minutes. But go to the rural area. Out of every 100, it's only 20% that can get access to health services or health center within 1 hour. So which is definitely worrying. So you can see that there's a connection between agriculture and health. If you look, you don't have good food, definitely you are subjected to have so many diseases. Look at our women, most of them, if you look at them now, when they are pregnant, they face a lot of difficulties. Some even have their blood vessels even will collapse. It's because we don't have proper health care. From the villages, hamlets, you go to the provinces, definitely health is an issue. And all of us here, from the executive, the way our women are delivering in our hospitals in the rural areas, nobody will want his wife or sister or his son or daughter to be born in that condition. Some are born, they don't have defects when they have pregnancy during the 9-month period, but upon when they're delivering, the child will have a defect. And that defect will continue like that. Some children will go to school, not that because they are stupid, but because the mother during pregnancy lacks something. And that definitely will affect the child in the womb. And when the child, when it's delivered, it will continue with that defect, and there's nothing that you can do to correct that defect in that child. So, if you don't invest in that sector, then our future leaders, we are already setting precedent that we will be recruiting children that will not be mentally fit. Honorable Speaker, we look at education. Then we said for education, these are two: higher education and basic and secondary education. For basic and secondary education, we can say we are meeting our target according to UNESCO declaration. That is 4 to 6% or 15 to 20% of your national budget should be allocated to education. But we are allocating all these monies, yet still we could not realize any changes in our education sector. When you look at it before, if you look at the education sector, the time allocation for each period in schools is different from with all these technologies now. We could not make any progress in our education sector. Higher education is also an area which is very worrying. We have only 3.12% for the total allocation of the total budgets. And it's education that we can use to transform a nation. Without quality education, you forget about transforming, because the lawyers that they are producing, the doctors that they are producing, the teachers, so they will not be of quality that they can give to students. So, Honorable Speaker, good. So, what I also observe in the budget is, if you look at the debt services and our commitment to international organizations, when you add them together, it's almost 90%. So, 10% alone, I don't think that cannot do anything in development. So why now we are committing ourselves to do something that we cannot? And we are also taking loans even than necessary. Because when you take the loans for the past 3 years, definitely we're supposed to get a significant change that will help us not to go into what we have taken before, and it will reduce also our debt burden. That is why when you look at World Health Organization and other institutions, we don't have a voting right. And the benefit that we should derive from those organizations again is stopped. It's all because when we take loans, we put it in the productive sectors, then that will help us, because when any loan that you take, the loan must attract an interest. So which means you have to pay the loan plus the capital plus the interest. But when we take the loan, then the interest that we will get should at least help us to make sure that cut our expenses. Next year, we take maybe less loan than the previous years. So, Honorable Speaker, this is what I have to submit. Thank you very much.
Honorable Member for Lower Fuladu. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, this is the third time we are sitting over the national budget since we came to this parliament. But this year's budget estimates is the most disappointing budget estimates to this National Assembly, to the Gambian people, especially to our electorates, more especially our farmers. Madam Speaker, as we used to say, agriculture is the backbone of our economy. I think we are just laughing at agriculture as far as this budget estimate is concerned. Madam Speaker, with your permission, let me refer the House to page 1 of the nominal GDP. Madam Speaker, domestic borrowing should not exceed 1% of the national budget as recommended by IMF. And according to the budget of 2019, domestic borrowing was 1.41%, which is equivalent to $1,236,668. And now it has been projected to 4.05% in 2020 estimates, equivalent to $3,978,469. Madam Speaker, I think that this is a violation of the rules and regulations of one of our major donor partners, IMF, which can even make IMF to uphold their monies and not to give any donor support to the Gambia. Madam Speaker, I would like the Honorable Minister to inform this August Assembly, if that happened, what is going to be the way forward? Madam Speaker, if you look at the debt restructuring which stands at $2 billion. Honorable Minister, I want you to inform this August Assembly, where is this money coming from? From which loan and from which country? Madam Speaker, going to Greater Banjul Area Road Project, I think it is a very good move because I think every genuine Gambian would like to see Banjul, our capital, to be the best looking capital in the sub-region. The monies involved is $376,540,000. Madam Speaker, my doubt is whether this contract was tendered. If so, where is the financing coming from? Because it was not budgeted before, and I understand the work is in progress. Madam Speaker, let's go to the vehicle policy. Honorable Minister, why is it that the vehicle policy is still not implemented, which I hope is to cut down government spending? But if you go through the budget, there are a lot of vehicles being estimated. Madam Speaker, if you go further to agriculture, this is why I said we are laughing at agriculture, in fact. And thank you very much for mentioning Yamina East, the 10% Mobutu Declaration. If you check the agricultural budget, development area is only 168,485,000 compared to the current 226,499,000. Madam Speaker, 168 million, what is that going to do for agriculture? If we want to develop this country, we have to invest in agriculture. We have the potentials, as other honorable members have alluded to. We have the land and we have the water. But 168 million cannot take us anywhere as far as agriculture is concerned. Madam Speaker, I would like the Honorable Minister to tell us how much is being budgeted for our productive sector and how much on unproductive sector. Madam Speaker, let me refer the House to page 8 of OP. Office of the President, page 8. A new directorate of pension is being created. I think that's fine. But before creating a new directorate, I think there must be a policy. What is the policy about and what is the scheme about? Madam Speaker, on Foreign Affairs, page 52. I want the Honorable Minister to inform this August Assembly. What is the difference between a driver and a chauffeur? If you go to item 85, you have a chauffeur there, 800,000 was budgeted in 2019, and it has been increased to 1.8 million for one sofa. And if you turn to page 62, you have another surfer there from 240 to 451. And if you go to page 63, item 384, one receptionist, it was not budgeted in 2019, but in 2020, you have 1.4 million for one receptionist. Madam Speaker, I think we have to look into this properly because we are representing the Gambian people, and this budget is very, very important. Madam Speaker, agriculture should be given priority. Though there are other sectors, education, health, they are all important. All sectors are important. But agriculture is very, very important. Because if we are talking of the economy, agriculture is a productive sector to support the economy. So if you don't invest in agriculture, all what we are saying about development, I think we are just laughing at agriculture. Madam Speaker, I have a lot of things to question when we come to committee stage. So for that matter, I don't want to take the time of the House. I want to beg to move. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Member for Fonyi Councillor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I think my interventions would be very much limited because I came in late, and again, since I got here, my colleagues have dilated on a lot of issues of which I don't need to go over. And like the Honorable Member for Lower Fuladu West rightly mentioned, the business proper will be on Friday. So it will be important for us to actually look at the 2020 budget estimate that is before us. But just a few clarifications from the Honorable Minister. That is, I took a look at page 43 of the budget estimates, which is talking about the Office of the Independent Electoral Commission, IEC. I realized that there's a drop in salaries compared to 2019, and allowances increased. So I don't know whether some positions have been made redundant, which is important to clarify. And the same thing applies to the Ministry of Lands, Regional Government, and Religious Affairs. You realize that there is a drop in the area of salaries, and there's an increment in the area of allowances. Honorable Speaker, before I assume my seat, I think the Honorable Member for Serekunda, in his intervention, made mention of the Constitution and the revised new standing order, which is, of course, the business of the day as far as this Parliament is concerned. And he made reference to so many things, and these are realities on the ground. So it's for us to see the interests of the nation and push the issue of national interest, or we are divided by our different political ideologies, and refuse to support the water course that is meant to transform and impact positively on the lives of the Gambian people we represent in this parliament. And this, for me, will be seen manifested on Friday when we start the proper adjustments of the 2020 estimates that is before us. On that note, Honorable Speaker, I want to thank you and thank all those who spoke before me. I don't want to talk about health, agriculture, and all other relevant institutions or ministries and departments, because a lot of people have dilated on them. And so being the case, as I said earlier on, I want to reserve the rest of my interventions until when we get to the committee stage. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much. Honorable Member for Banjul North.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I might also say that there is little left for one to elaborate on, as most of the issues have been dealt with. But just to say that I want to applaud the move by this August Assembly in adopting these new standing orders that are in force. And to indicate that this is a mechanism, as has been alluded to by the member for Serakunda, that is now before us to utilize to ensure effective scrutiny, for us to actually take charge of the management of the affairs of this country, particularly with regards to the generation and utilization of resources to serve the people of the Gambia. It's an instrument that would really go a long way, and as had been indicated by the member of Serakunda, that we are not antagonists, but it is our duty to ensure that the executive functions properly in the interest of the Gambian people, as well as the National Assembly, we as the oversight, that we function effectively in the interest of the people. So this document really comes to serve that purpose, and I hope that we're going to utilize it effectively. I want to start by saying that we are managing an economy that is indebted to the tune of 69 to 70 billion Gambian dollars as our loan portfolio. And it seems that I've not seen any efforts towards reducing this colossal sum. And the Honorable Minister of Finance presented to us the draft estimates of revenue and expenditure. And it appears that government is still, or the executive is still interested in contracting more loans that would increase this sum. And I want to state that there are three areas that are always a challenge in this country. And I think it is important for us to focus on those three areas and see how we can address those three areas. Those three areas concerns governance, concerns the management of the economy, it concerns the service to the people of this nation. And the first is the generation of revenue, income. We have not done much in that area. This has been the case. And I'm not saying that this present dispensation is going to fix all, but at least efforts have to be started. But we have to start making efforts towards ensuring that the government moves away, or in addition to the traditional sources of generating revenue, which are taxation, of course, expecting grants, soliciting for grants, and contracting loans, but to also develop the productive sectors of the economy. The question was raised here, and a minister came and told us when the inquiry was made why government is not investing in what is a potential in this country, what can serve as foreign sovereign wealth. But the explanation was that for him, he would not advise government to doing business. And in that sector, for him, it's the private sector who should be doing it. And in that sector, we have seen the private sector attempting in that sector but failing. But for government, he said government should not venture into that because government would fail. But yet, the private sector is there and is failing. So I don't know what yardstick he was arguing on. I'm just saying this to say that we have a private sector that is not investing in the productive sectors because of the risks, of course, in quotes, attached. And you cannot force them to invest their resources where they do not want to. You cannot force them to take risks. So what stops government from taking the lead? Government can come in, we're not saying exclusively, but it can be in partnership with private sector. A case in point is that I understand from an official who is close to the executive in an interview yesterday saying that Egyptians are coming to invest in the poultry sector and they'll be producing millions of eggs for Gambians. When we have Gambians, it's a fledgling sector, Gambians in that sector. So is that the type of investment we are inviting? Pushing out those that are trying, and they have challenges. There are numerous challenges. There are so many young people, so many Gambian investors who are invested in the sector. So what are we saying? I am not opposed to investors coming in to invest in our economy, but what I'm saying is we need to protect those that are already in the economy, who are already operating in the economy. So this is something that the Honorable Minister, I would want the government to really look into. The fishery sector, the poultry subsector, horticulture, in all the areas, even the extractive industry. Government should not be sitting back. We must take the lead because we cannot be waiting for private sector to come in. Encourage them, and then government is even competing with the private sector, with the liquidity in the banking sector. By buying treasury bills, you can see this budget is basically on, wants to rely on taking loans through treasury bills. So you can see that's a challenge. So government should really look into that area. We must ensure that government invests. And here we can see the budget, about 90%, 80 to 90% of the budget is on recurrent and has been explained. It's basically to sustain the operations of the government, of the administration. But there's little that goes into development. And this is an area we really should look into. The young people are out there, they have jobs, some are trying, like I've indicated, trying to do little things. How can we come and support? How can government come? Why can government come to support them? The informal sector, furniture, we're talking about furniture in offices. Virtually is imported furniture. I'm not saying there are Gambians who are running the business, who are operating in those areas. I'm not saying that we should push them out. But you have Gambians, they form associations of carpenters, welders. Why can't we engage them? Why can't we support them? So I believe that government should really look into that area. It's a challenge, and we are not doing much. And unless we address that challenge, we will continue contracting loans, we will continue basing our development on the goodwill of others through grants, through loans. And then, like I said, the $69 billion to $70 billion, it is unsustainable. Imagine this year, 41% of the GLF is being committed in debt service. Could this amount, part of this amount, not have been invested in agriculture? They complain about agriculture. Under 2% is committed to agriculture. And we're talking about the backbone of the economy. So this is an area that really needs focus, and we are hoping that when the minister comes next year, he's going to inform us that they'll be investing in the purchase of trawlers. They'll be, of course, it could be with partners. They could be establishing factories that will be doing processing. At least the fishery value chain, agriculture value chain, we are expecting government to really be coming in this area. That's one part. I don't want to take much of the time. As I said, they have already said, they've spoken on some of the issues. The other challenge that is facing government is allocation. Allocation of resources, the meager resources. Prioritization. Of course, we cannot be talking about allocation if the revenue is not much, and that's the reality. But if you look at this, you will see that agriculture is not even part of the 10 top spending budget lines. I think it's the 11th. Of course, health is our darling, and we need to acknowledge the support being given by all the honorable members to that sector. They are really concerned about, and there are challenges. I'll not talk about it. We invited the member from Banjul South yesterday to our committee. Well, the positions he forwarded, those are our positions, but we'll be presenting them in detail during committee stage. But you can see, for us, it's not a double digit. We don't have any double digit allocation to health yet. It is still a single digit. Last year it was 9.6%, thereabout. This year it's about 6.12%. It's a reduction. Of course, in monetary terms, there's an increase from 1.1 billion to 1.4 billion. But overall, if you percentage to the overall budget, it's 6.12%. You know, that's a reduction. And Gambia has made commitments in regards to the Abuja Declaration, where all African heads of state met in Abuja and then made this commitment that they'll be committing 15% of their budget to health. But Gambia is really far off. We were inching towards the double-digit allocations, but now we have reverted 3 percentage points from 9 to 6. So that's really a cause for concern, and we hope that during the committee stages we have some suggestions. I'm not sure whether if we accommodate those suggestions, it would lead us to double-digit, but health is in a dire state. Everybody admits that. But there's also a challenge, like I said, allocation. I'll come also to utilization. That's the third challenge. The third challenge is the utilization of resources. We have seen sectors, and of course I'm talking about health and I think all the other sectors, where what is allocated is not utilized. Or what is allocated, they go over the mark. And they do that through environments. And I've even seen environments from essential areas to non-essential. Environments from essential and to non-essential. And I think, Honorable Minister, I think something needs to be done in that regard, in terms of environments, that environments may be permitted because circumstances, exigencies can arise anytime. Situations can arise, emergencies can arise. That's fine. But we have to establish the rule that no environment on any essential item, budget item, even if it is going to be another essential one, more essential, more important. I think that has to be done. Because, like, for instance, if you take drugs, you buy from drugs for travels. So that's not justifiable. So these are the issues. I think these are the three challenges that are confronting government. The executive should take note and should do everything possible to address them. And we as an assembly, we have said it here, and we'll be supported, we'll be guided by this to ensure that these three areas where we are failing will be addressed. Like I said, we are not antagonists. We are in this together. We are supposed to serve the Gambian nation, and we have to give our best through consensus and what we feel is in the best interest of the nation, and we'll be doing this. So what we are confronted now is we understand that we have inherited these structures, because even this budget, the way it is structured, is inherited. So what we are confronted with now is that how do we rationally utilize what is available, rational utilization. Let me give an example. Like, for instance, if you go to page 37, honorable colleagues, the Office of the President, I've seen maintenance That is talking about Office of the President, page 37. Yes, there is a budget line that is talking about upkeep. 20 million, State House. Upkeep, $20 million. Huh? No, State House, not State Guard, State House. Okay, budget line, let me give you 222-114. $20 million. And if you go to the Vice President, it's $3 million. So the disparity, the gap is too wide. Vice President, $3 million. State House, $20 million. So, and we are talking about savings. I think, Honorable Minister, these are the areas that we can really look into and dissect and make savings from these areas. This is an area I would recommend. These two areas, upkeep of the Office of the Vice President, $3 million, that's staggering. The upkeep of the Office of the State House, $20 million, that's over the mark. We can make enough savings and divert to areas. They can even help us to reduce the lending from local sources. Or if we want to maintain them, we can divert it to other areas like health, agriculture. So just an example. Like as has been said, we'll reserve some of these details when we go to committee stage. I understand that all the committees have done the engagement with the respective ministries under their purview, and I am confident that they have done justice to those engagements. And when we go to Committee of Supply, we'll be really working on these areas in detail. I think basically those are just the things that I wanted to highlight. Just to say that we really need support for the sector, particularly health. There are challenges with health with regards to the utilization of resources, with regards to prioritization. But there is one thing also, Honorable Speaker. We have agreed that come 2020, in addition to this, we'll be engaging the sectors on a quarterly basis, immediately before the ordinary sessions. We'll be requesting, and we'll be doing this in conjunction with the Minister of Finance. We'll be requesting, and this purpose is for budget monitoring, expenditure tracking. We'll be requesting from the Ministry of Finance, and they'll be even invited to come to our committee meetings, where we'll be engaging the Minister, the Permanent Secretary, Vote Control, whoever is coming, but it has to be somebody top there, a decision maker, to know how much had been requested from Finance as per the approved allocation, how much has been released, and then where it has been spent. I think this is going to help us in our, and this is something that we all agree we're going to adopt come 2020. This is going to really help us. I think we have gone very far. We have graduated. 3 years is not something mean. We have really gathered the experience. Most of us, when we are coming, we are novices, we are rookies, but now we have really, mastered the art and are going to ensure that there's real value for money. Gambians are really, their concerns are really addressed. And of course, we're talking about allowances. There are, I think these are issues that we can talk about. Some approvals that have been made, but not yet, attended to, addressed, like allowances. There are sectors that, are supposed to be receiving allowances. They have not received the allowances as was approved by this committee last year for 2019. On that note, I thank you, honorable colleagues, that let's just come together. The Gambia is our project, and we owe it to the people to serve them. And let's do this in a non-partisan way. Let's do this to serve the interests of the Gambian people. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, honorable member and other honorable members who have alluded to the provisions of the standing orders and the fact that we are now moving ahead. But I think as an assembly as a whole, we owe a huge gratitude to CPA, is it? CPA UK for having seen us through this. If honorable members will recall last year during the vacation, the recess, in fact, they came on 2 previous occasions here and were able to make a comprehensive comparative studies of the different of standing orders of various countries, and this is a product of that with the the Standing Orders Committee chaired by Honorable C.D. Ajata. So I think we owe them a lot. We say thank you to CPA UK and also to the Standing Orders Committee for a job well done. Thank you. Honorable Member for Upper Newmi. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for giving me the floor. Madam Speaker, I think my submission will be very, very precise and straight to the point. And I will restrict myself with that of agriculture. Madam Speaker, the simplest definition of agriculture, as to my own knowledge, is the production of food and feed for all the people residing in that particular country and animals. And this food must be affordable, accessible, and at the same time also must serve the health purpose of the human being and animals. Madam Speaker, when you go to the Department of Livestock Services, the allocation for this department is only $18 million. And this particular department is responsible for the production and provision of feed for all the animals in this country. We assume that they should be responsible. And this particular department is not the Department of Agriculture. When you go to the Department of Agriculture, you look at it at the ministry down, they are all crop buyers, meaning that the minister is a horticultural specialist. The permanent secretaries there, some are engineers, soil engineers. The other permanent secretaries are horticultural specialists. Some are rice engineers, meaning that they are agronomists. Critically, there is nobody among them who has a background of livestock knowledge, meaning that animal production and animal health. So therefore, the chunk amount of our money is going to crop production instead of livestock. And there's a need to shift the paradigm, Madam Speaker. Shifting the paradigm in the sense that we have to diversify the agricultural base, meaning that we have to shift from crop production to animal production. And in shifting, meaning that we have been investing a lot into crop production, but since that day to date, the trend has been declining, and we have not been achieving the food security. Therefore, if we diversify into animal production, or we shift the paradigm to animal production, probably that may help us to reach into that level of food security, which we are all yearning for. Because in animal production, you can have food, and you can have money, and you can have a lot. We can even export. Madam Speaker, when you look at the GGC here, who are responsible of selling and buying our granules from our farmers, there are granules lying down there since last year, has not been exported. And they are producing an oil which they call crude oil. This crude oil is far more better than the oil we are buying from markets, from these 20-liter gallons and crab cups. So it's better the Ministry of Finance or Ministry of Agriculture invest more into this department for us to be able to produce our own oil in order for our population to consume a better oil. We have an opportunity of increasing our income generation base. The opportunities are there. Why are we neglecting them? The Kamalo here, the feed mill. We can build it. We can bring the machines and provide feed. All the farmers in animal production are struggling for feed for their animals. And agriculture simply means production of food and feed for all the human beings living in that particular country and animals. You cannot provide food for people and you don't provide feed for animals. The two has to go together. And that's why it's lagging here. Even the farmers, when they use the animals in their farms, at the end of the day, they sell all the granules hay. So I mean that they don't reserve food for their animals. And that's why, we are importing milk. We can make it here, Madam Speaker. Potential is there. It's there. Madam Speaker, I would like to thank the Minister of Finance for the last year 50% salary increment, and which is sustainable to me up to date because nobody has been complaining of not receiving their salary since the increment. But like you also mentioned last year that there will be salary restructuring this year. Somebody asked for it, and I want to reiterate it. Why is not salary restructuring? And with the issue of vehicle policy, we haven't seen it, and it's already a law which was passed by this National Assembly that a vehicle policy must come to effect, and is suspended. It's not been bring back to this Assembly for us to disapprove it like we did it all. The tax imposed on the alcoholic and beverages. Madam Speaker, the allocation for the Ministry of Agriculture this year has drastically reduced. And when you look at it critically, last year it was 441.5 million. This year, rather, 2019. And next year, 2020, is 394.98 million, which is at a low side. And there is a need for an increment in this particular area. And therefore, we want this increment to go into livestock sector. Because with the emergence of last year foot and mouth diseases, and there is a prophecy that there's an emergency of the disease again next year, and in a different trait, which is more dangerous than the one we saw last year. So meaning that this department needs a lot of vaccines to vaccinate our animals against this particular disease. So too many problems. Honorable Minister, we have to help livestock sector in order to keep our farmers alive. Because some of our farmers are depending on this livestock for everything. Madam Speaker, we need to know, like the budget support, as it was mentioned by the Minister, has not been forthcoming. Or it has been, some have been received this year, they're supposed to be received last year. You have been asked what is responsible. I also would like to ask, what do you think as we the honorable members can do to help the government in order to access this fund? Because we think we can play a role. That's my presumption. As like the FPAC and they can, engage these donor partners to come, to ensure them of that oversight scrutiny and function. Probably they may believe and they may do something. So that's my suggestion in that area. Honorable Minister, and this year also, when you look at the trend of rainfall, there was a drought spell. And this drought spell has affected a lot of farmers, meaning that there will be low productivity and probably, some of the farmers may not even have anything. So there's a need for lean season assistance to these farmers. And this type of things has to be factored in order to help the rural people, because they are the ones who are more vulnerable to these drought spells and all sort of. So therefore, much has been said, and I have asked certain things, one, but I don't want to say that here. So there's no need. Then, Madam Speaker, I just want to, stop my intervention here. Thank you very much for giving me the floor.
Thank you. Honorable Member for Lower Badibu.
Thank you very much. Honorable Speaker, for the floor. Honorable Speaker, first and foremost, I would like to refer this August Assembly to the Constitution of the 1997, Section 152, where it says, annual estimates and appropriation bill. The President shall cause the minister responsible for finance to prepare and lay before the National Assembly at least 30 days before the end of the financial year estimate of the revenue and expenditure of the Gambia for the following fiscal year. The estimate shall include any estimates which under this Constitution are to be submitted directly to the President by the Chief Justice or any other authority for presentation by the President to the National Assembly. Under the subsection 4, it further says, in addition to presenting the estimates for the following fiscal year, the President may cause to be prepare and present to the National Assembly physical and monetary programs and plans for economic and social development covering periods exceeding 1 year, an estimate of revenue and expenditure in respect of such programs and plans. Honorable Speaker, having said this, the Constitution has reminded us about our economic plans as a country, and going through this document, we will know exactly that whether we as a country, are we independent by words or by papers, or we are independent as what we know as independent. Honorable Speaker, analyzing this budget itself informed us that we knew that budget is in three folds. You neither have a surplus budget, balanced or deficit budget. But the Honorable Minister will be in agreement with me that this is a deficit budget by comparing the revenue sources of the state and the expenditure that we want. And therefore, being a deficit budget, an excess of expenditure or liabilities over income. Honorable Speaker, in all fairness, I think whether it could be in the aspect of the Ministry of Finance or at the PMO level, when it comes to the issue of allowances. Already we knew that we have a deficit budget, but considering the nature of the allowances in this budget is too much. We knew that without budget support from our donor partners, we cannot even present a budget here. That's why I say, are we independent? So, but looking at the budget, you will know that the junk part of the budget is all about allowances. And allowances should come with responsibilities. And if you look at some of the ministerial lines, I will start with, I will come to that, but let me also start, apart from the revenue sources of tax, because we are a tax-based country, but the non-tax revenue, we have almost how many institutions here, or corporate agencies, that can pay revenue to the state in a non-tax form? But are these institutions doing what is expected of them? Can this institution contribute to the economy of this country? It's a question mark. Honorable Speaker, having said that, when we go to page 35, Appendix 27, the social benefits, contribution to injuries and compensation, we have seen that in the budget, the contribution in 2019, it was 30 million, and now reduced to 15 million. If you go further, on page 18, the issue of health, many people has highlighted that here. We as a nation, we sign protocols in international organizations, like for example, the Abuja Declaration, the